Hello and welcome. I'm Shirley Roth with the Riverside County Office of Education, and today we will be making your essential set of 10 frames and using them as an example as we talk about the importance of intentionality in lesson planning. The supplies that you're going to need are 18 blank 10 frames, 2 per page on cardstock. These little dots here, they're called color coding label dots, a chart ring, pair of scissors, hole punch. You may ask, what's the big deal about making 10 frames? You have the frames, you stick the dots on them, and voila. Better yet, you go online and download a set. Well, the big deal is that powerful teaching and learning depends on two elements in the lesson planning cycle that for the most part occur outside of instruction. The first element is preparation, those instructional choices that you plan in advance. And second, the after lesson teacher reflection. Today we're going to talk about the first, using 10 frames for a context. So we're going to talk about the intentional and purposeful arrangement of dots. So here's a question for you. How can intentional arrangement of dots provoke and inform a child's understanding of a specific number and early number concepts in general? So I brought my dot cards with me. And if you were a student in my class, group of students, I would say, how many do you see and how do you see them? And because I know how many you're going to say, and because I know how you're probably going to say you see them, I'm not going to give you any wait time. We're going to move right on. This is how I would expect children to respond. I'm going to have a lot of counters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to have many children that have learned that when you fill one column, you have 5 in a column. So they're going to subitize it. They're going to see 5. But some of the other things that they might see in addition is the relationship between the 5 and the 10, that 5 is actually half of the 10 frame. When the 10 frame is half full, I have 5. Or twice 5 gives you the 10. So they're already grouping in 5s in their mind. One thing that I've encountered here and there when the question comes up is 5 odd or even? And you would be surprised how many children, especially when they're just getting the idea and the concept of odd and even, will tell me that 5 is even. And I think that's because visually you can see a symmetry in one full column and one empty column. And they're kind of seeing a pairing there, more of a yin-yang type of pairing instead of a full card type of pairing, right? So that's one kind of card. This is filling from the bottom up, which is great for counting. Maybe when that issue of odd and even is part of the conversation, this would be a better card to use. How much do you see and how do you see it? Well, I see 5 and I see it as 3 and 2 more or 4 and 1 more. Less likely to see this 5 as half of 10, right? That's the advantage the other card had. I might see this as doubles plus 1 also, but I can sure get that idea that this is an odd card, right? So this set of cards that we're going to make is building from the bottom up, because you get different attributes of number when you're building from the bottom up than from filling and spilling. Also, you're going to notice that we're going to do something with these cards, and that is put dots on the back. So I had a 5 on the front here. I'm going to do a different version of 5 on the back, and I'm going to use cultural subitizing. I am going to use an arrangement that is a culturally well-known arrangement so kids can get used to it. And these cards are going to reinforce all those notions of 5 that we talked about already, except maybe the half of 10. Except I could do a card that has 2 groups of 5 on it, right? But it's also going to help them when we start that counting on, because they're going to see the 5, they're going to subitize 5, they're going to recognize what 5 is and count on from there when they're combining 2 numbers. Okay? Alrighty, so let's get busy and make some 10 frames. And give me a second here, and I'm going to open up my PowerPoint. There. So that took more than a second, but we got it. How about that? So making the 10 frames, and we've already reviewed this particular card here, 5, filling one column, then spilling over. So here's my blank card with 0. And we're just going to fill up one column, spill over 6. You can see how the importance of 5 as an anchor is really emphasized in this card. So now I have one more than 5 being 6, one less than 5 being 4. Very visual. You can also see a lot of counting by twos. I see 8 as 6 and 2 more, or 2, 2, 2, and 2. There's a lot of math that just comes out of the arrangement. And that's great. It's coming from the kids, but I got to tell you what, you set that up by choosing the cards. 9 and 10. Okay. Now here is our other. This is from the bottom up filling. And so we're going to go through the same procedure. And lo and behold, 0 is the same as the last set of cards. 1 is the same as the last set of cards. 2 and 3 and 4, they look different. One more than 6. There's my even number, 8, easy to see. 9 is the same as the last set of cards. My spill and fill 9 looks exactly like this from the bottom up. And my 10s look the same. So the point I'm trying to make with that is that there's only one way to make 0 in these two sets, one way to make 10, one way to make 1, and one way to make 9. So we're only going to make one of each of those cards, and we're going to share it with the two sets. All the other cards we need to make 2 because they look different. Okay, here I'm actually showing you the back side of one of my sets of cards. And I have the top card in each deck, the green and the yellow deck, turned to the number 4. And like I said earlier, that was a fill and spill number 4, but you can see the other card is that cultural arrangement of 5 missing 1. So I'm going to use cultural arrangements to subitize on the back as much as possible. And then I'm going to use my fill and spill and from the bottom up cards on the front. I make sure that I have the same amount on the front and back of each card so that when I'm holding the card up and little ones are seeing the front side of the card, then what I'm seeing on the back is the same number. So I always know what number is facing them. If you don't know what some of those cultural arrangements are, you can look up dice or dominoes. And for some of the larger numbers, you can look at a double 9 deck of dominoes. Just look it up online, and it'll give you some of the arrangements to use on the backs of your cards. And because it changes, you have a little more variety with the larger numbers. I thought I would give an example. So here's a fill and spill with the 7. On the back, I put a 4 and a 3. I think from the bottom up card, I may have put a 5 and a 2. So there's a lot of ways that you can use those arrangements on the back. So you're done. You did it. Hole punch your cards, put them on your chart ring, and you're ready to go. And remember, always have a purpose for the cards you're using with your students. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our station, RX Math. And I really appreciate your being with me and making a set of 10 frames today. See you next time. Bye.